So I have like a professional vlogging camera, but honestly, using my phone is much easier. So I have this little mic. It's a smart mic. So it's supposed to help with some of the echo because I was listening to yesterday. So I was like, oh my God, it's like I'm in a tunnel, but I'm here now. So I wanted to jump on here because I did a TikTok on this earlier today. So important. And I promise I'll do an entire podcast on it as well. But is not engaging. Seriously, you got to stop engaging people. Okay. That's actually what they want. And you think, so it's ego driven, right? So your ego tells you, hey, you better have the last word. You better tell them and stand up for yourself. Listen, I'm all about standing up for yourself, but not at the cost of wasting money. Energy is currency, and you're wasting your energy on things. There will be people who will tell you the sky is yellow, like the entire sky is yellow. And you'd be like, it's blue. They're like, no, it's yellow. I tell you guys, you have two choices in life. You can be happy or you can be right. You can't really be both, right? If you're right and happy, great. But like, if that's what you're holding on to, oh, we're going to have to like notch that down a little bit, because you have to realize you think, right? Your ego tells you that if you don't engage in battle and someone wins this argument, that you're weak. You're not. That's why boundaries come into play, right? 2 + 2 is 98. Yep, it is. I'm not going to argue with you. And you got to let people talk to a blank space. A blank space. So the longer you're engaging, right, because you want to be right, you want to prove your point of some sort, you don't have to. Because if somebody starts smearing your name and starts spreading lies about you and all this stuff, and people believe that, they are not your people. I will repeat that several times with you. They are not your people. And why are you putting energy towards that? If you know who you are, you're like, yeah, but they have the story all wrong. Okay, so let them. Let them. You're spinning your wheels. And I'll tell you what helps that, right, is honestly, it's what it's going to come back to, fill in the blank, self-love and boundaries. Seriously. Because as long as you know who you are and you know your character, stop trying to convince the world of it, right? Because then in some ways you're not as confident about yourself as you think you are. Because if you have to walk around convincing everyone how not fill in the blank that this person or this situation is telling people, you're insecure in it, right? And sure, you can plead your case all you want, but then you kind of get caught in a rock and a hard spot, right? Because if you get defensive and go into protective mode, you are defensive because you're guilty. If you don't say anything, it's because you're too embarrassed and you're guilty, right? So either way you go. So let them win. Let them win the day. At the end of the day, you're winning. You're literally winning. It's not a race anyway. I don't even like to use the word winning, but in this case, it makes sense, right? So you're winning because you're not going home and caring what they're thinking. Who cares? Who cares? That will come with self-confidence. Self-confidence comes from healing your past traumas, not being codependent, which again, is not a fast process. Like, it's going to take time, right? You're going to have to be okay with making people angry. Not on purpose. It's just they're not going to like how you're vibing. And that's okay too. So I'm just saying this to you because it is imperative that you stop engaging in battle. Okay? There will be people who will trigger you. Let them trigger you. Do not engage with them, because that's actually what people want, right? You can't talk to a blank space, right? You can try. You can come in hot and be yelling and screaming and all of these things. You're going to be talking to a blank space. You got to be okay with hanging up the phone and walking away. That does not mean that you can't come back and communicate whatever it is that you were experiencing, but you do not do so in the heat of battle, right? And there will be people who, again, will only ever see things from their perspective, even when you're not angry. And that's where you have to ask yourself, why am I engaging in these people? And yes, that includes family. Your family doesn't get a free pass. Just because it's your mom or your sister or your dad or your husband or kids or whatever, they don't get a free pass to just be negative all the time and you just keep engaging in it. And that's where you have to say, why am I engaging in this? Because remember, you can never control another person, but you can always control your reaction to a situation and know when to put boundaries. Just because you're used to something or somebody is family does not mean that you have to tolerate it and put up with it. Now, vice versa. If you're having a bad day and you come walking in the house and you are a complete terror because you had a nightmare with your boss, yeah, that now you need to stay in your lane. This isn't for other people to fix for you. Just because you had a bad day, you don't get to come in and dump it all over everybody, because now they get to distance from you. Okay, so I just say this to you because when you start working on the art of response and not reaction, and know when to not emotionally engage, see, that's the key. Don't have a conversation with an emotional undertone. It's going to take time. If you have the ability, you walk away and you hang up the phone. So remember, let them talk to a blank space. Do not engage. Protect your peace at all costs. If you want to keep throwing currency out the window, I'll give you my Venmo.